they do collapse because they are not based on the seven divine laws. They're based on the seven demonic laws. So they will collapse, but divinity has nothing to do with it. It is only the helping there. Divinity helps us. In this America has also the wonderful light white there, because there are some wonderful people in America. These are not the one leading, unfortunately, but there is also a lot of purity and innocence in America, which I think will help us to pull through the dark times. Hi, I'm Hans Wilhelm, and we are going to a few spiritual questions. One of the first questions is, will humanity make it through this time of chaos, and what lies beyond it? Humanity suffers in different degrees. If we look at the globe now, we see people suffering in Gaza, in Ukraine, Sudan, and so on, other places. It's a very tough, whilst others are living in total abundance and like nothing is affecting them. So every human being experience their life here on earth individually according to their needs and to what their life lessons are. So we can't say that everything happens to everyone here, because the time will change, the time will be very drastic, but it will not affect everybody on the same level. And that is important to mean, that we don't have to experience all the karma everybody else is experiencing. We're experiencing only our own karma if we don't want to forgive and love. So everybody experiences coming changes differently. And yes, there will be major, major changes. There will be lots of collapses of systems, political system, religious system, society system, financial system, and so on. They will collapse one after the other. And the more it happens, the more I think we are encouraged to understand that this whole world outside is an illusion. The kingdom of God is in us. Everything we ever need in life is in us and in everyone. So we have to learn to turn within for strength, for power to survive in these difficult times. The outer world will look pretty dark at times, but we always have the entire divinity in us with all our help. You can call Christ, God, our guardian spirit. They're always with us. We are never alone in the darkest hours. So that is our helpful sign here to pull through these dark periods. But don't be afraid. As I said, we are not alone. We don't know how we will personally experience it. And the main goal is that even in these dark times, it's not a question for us to survive. The question is, how can we help others in this time? And the moment we shift from ourselves to others, we feel differently, and we will feel encouraged about the time. Let us look at this time as an opportunity for us to serve. If you were to describe the soul of America as an image or color, what would it look like today, and how might it change in the coming decades? At the moment, the soul of America is very, very dark, because we have started so many small wars, big wars. We have produced so many weapons. And even if we are told that this is all for freedom and democracy, in many cases it was only to empower our people in power, in charge. Like Iraq was for oil, so was Vietnam, and a lot of these things were coming not from democracy, but from power and greed. So we have, unfortunately, in our nation, done a lot of harm around the world. It doesn't mean other countries haven't done the same thing, but America has definitely been a leader in the production of weapons and destruction that started with the atom bomb and so on, and today as well. And that karma is definitely somehow coming back to us. And in this America has also the wonderful light white there, because there are some wonderful people in America. These are not the one leading, unfortunately, but there is also a lot of purity and innocence in America, which I think will help us to pull through the dark times. But unfortunately, we have try to dominate the world politics in such harsh and direct way, with weapons and threats, and manipulating and toppling governments all over, from Persia to Chile and so on and everywhere else. And that will eventually come back to us. So we will have to learn a very tough lesson. But even if it's a tough lesson, everybody will be hit by this tough lesson differently. Which doesn't mean, even in America, we can have areas and areas which are very little unrest and a little pain, but whereas other areas may be suffering tremendously. And in all these periods, always the only way to rely is not on our nationality, America or not America. The only thing which counts is divinity in us. The kingdom of God in us is the only source to be and identify with. The moment we identify with a tribe like America, Europe, or whatever, white, black, gay, straight, whatever it is, we are limiting ourselves. We are identifying with earthly identification. We are not any of that. That is only a role we play at the moment here in this lifetime. And that is only a very superficial identification. Our true identification is that we are love, unconditional, unlimited, all-inclusive, selfless love. That is what we are made of. That is our true nature. And from that, we should always interact with other people and with the whole environment around us. It's love, nothing else. And our task, our only task here in life is to love and nothing else. Why are so many global systems collapsing right now? Is it part of the divine order? No. Divinity has nothing to do with it. This is all self-created stuff which we created. God does not do collapsing of stuff. We have created these systems, religious system, financial system, business systems. These are not divine systems. These are all tools for our survival here in the material universe. And they're totally man-made. And yes, they do collapse because they are not based on the seven divine laws. They're based on the seven demonic laws. So they will collapse, but divinity has nothing to do with it. It is only the helping there. Divinity helps us through this period. But we created this mess. We created these various systems. And these systems, as they are not of highest vibration, have to collapse so that our earth can go up into a higher dimension again. Remember, at the moment, so we are all aware of these changes. We have a great overpopulation, we have got a high population here. 120 years ago, the population of the planet Earth was a billion and a half. And then suddenly, it went up to 8 billion souls. The souls in the spiritual realms knew that this is a very important period here on planet Earth. It is a very powerful way to be here. It's like a power wash. We come here, we experience some very heavy karma, but then we are free of that karma. So billions and billions of souls have tried to incarnate at this very time to be here as the curtain falls, because it is such a powerful time of cleansing. We go through difficult times, but these difficult times are only here to undo our karma, to help to become again loving and compassionate and serve others. So we all are here because we decided to be here. Nobody is here against their own will. Our ego may cry, says, oh, I don't want to be here in this time. I don't want to be here. But your higher self has said, this was a time for you to incarnate, because in this period, you will be able to undo as much karma as never before. And then afterwards, you will be free. Remember, our time here on planet Earth is very short. It's, what is it, 28,000 days or something like this as an average? It doesn't mean anything, really. It's very short compared from eternity. Our spiritual realm, we think of much bigger spaces. It's a very short visit. And in this very short visit, we are able to purify ourselves like we have never been able to do before. So is humanity going through a collective dark night of the soul? I think the answer is a clear yes. For most of us, it will. Not for everyone, but for most of us, it is. But the dark night of the soul is a necessary thing, as I've outlined, to become free again. Through the darkness, we see the light. We cannot see the stars without the dark sky. So we have to go through it to understand that nothing out there rescue us. Nothing out there. It is our money, our beliefs, our family, our friends are not able to help us. The only help we have is within us. The kingdom of God is in us. Divinity is in us. Our link, our connection to divinity, to God, to Christ, is the one which will pull us through eventually. And we do this through service to others, because by service to others, we are expressing who we truly are. We are love and compassionate. I doubt that AI will have any great impact on the spiritual evolution. It will enhance our ego, because the AI is not artificial intelligence, it's artificial intellect. It's only knowledge, and knowledge used and we think it's for helping people for illnesses and saving food and so on. But these are all band-aids or sort of this never really goes to the source of it. Illness is not helped by finding new medicine. It's a temporary way to help. Neither does food shortage help by inventing new crops and new fertilizers. These are all things which we think AI will help us to become more self-sufficient and healthier in future. Illness can only be healed if we stop acting, speaking, and working against the law of love. Illness is thus a result of our karma. We have to deal with the karma, and our intelligence in us tells us when we are wrong and right. And the same with food. At the moment, it's not a question of not having enough food. It is that it is not well distributed. There are nations who have got so much food and others have nothing. It's our ego. Our ego stops and prevents the fact that we don't share the food enough. So AI may have some wonderful ideas, robotic and so on, and people may fall in love with AI, but it is artificial intellect, and the intellect always comes from the ego. So I would say, go back to who we are. We have learned to outsource all our energy. For instance, in the past, I could, in my head, multiply 12 by 16. Today, what do? I use my iPhone and quickly do it on the iPhone. Everything I want to know. I have a question. In the past, I went to the library, looked up it, made an effort. Today, I punch in the problem and AI gives me quick answer. I'm outsourcing all my own inner knowing to the outside technology. From television gives me the impression, instead of making my own opinion, I use the opinion that the television tells me, etc., etc. So we have outsourced everything for other people to do for us. And we have become weaker and weaker and weaker because we are totally surrendering ourselves to these technology things, which we think are so wonderful. But they are not there. We don't need, as a spiritual being, we don't need television. We don't need iPhones. We communicated with everyone because everyone is in us. We also traveled wherever we wanted through the power of thought. Very simple. We don't need any of these technologies in the higher levels. These technologies like AI and computer, whatever it may be, the robotics are part of the planet Earth and the dark forces. So I'm not saying don't use it at all, but I do not see salvation coming from AI in any way. On the contrary, we are weakening our inner strengths by surrendering ourselves to the AI. And the biggest problem is not AI. The biggest problem is the immaturity of the people who run and own AI. There is no maturity in the people who are in charge, because a mature person would never allow such energy to become so powerful that will eventually control us. So it is partly our own personal human immaturity that AI can be so dangerous. So don't blame AI, blame ourselves, our own immaturity, not willing to work from love, compassion, understanding. Why do family patterns or struggles keep repeating through generations? Most of all, of course, most of us reincarnate in the same group of souls, which means very often the same families in different roles. Sometimes we are the parents, sometimes the children, sometimes the spouses. The reason is also because a group and family has got a certain belief system, which is very often a religious belief system. And that religiously they all share. That's why the energy pulls them together. And there's always karma. Let's remember that most difficulties we have in our life are usually with our family members, people who are very close to us. And we don't necessarily clear them up in a lifetime. We carry them on from lifetime to lifetime. Therefore, it is so important to clear all relationships and bring them into the positive. So yes, the generational to generational, it is also the reason sometimes if I, for instance, am negative, I'm a murderer or something like this, that's stored in my DNA. And that DNA is then, my children have the DNA and their grandchildren have that same DNA. It may not come to fruition with them, but if I need to incarnate again to planet Earth, the little baby with my DNA from the past will be an attractor for me to come back into the same family, basically, as that baby. So whatever I do affects my DNA, and also gives an opportunity for my soul to reincarnate back into the same kind of constellation of family. So the more I clear up my karma here, the less I see anchors for my next incarnation. So it's always important for us to clear up every relationship and make it harmonious so that we have no reason to incarnate anymore. Why are we really here on earth? What is the ultimate spiritual purpose of human life? So the reasons why people incarnate are manifold. Not everybody is here for the same reason. Some come here to experience physicality, to be in a human body again. Some are coming here to help and serve others. Some are here to learn certain tasks and qualities like love and forgiveness, compassion. Some are here to assist the new earth, which is slowly birthing out of the present earth into a higher dimension. And there are just some here just to give a smile and help and anchor light into this planet Earth. But most souls are incarnating here to undo their karma. That is the main reason, which means we are experiencing all this karma that we have sown in previous or this lifetime. And the reason is to understand it and to undo it. And how do we do that? Mostly is through forgiveness. We learn only through pain or insight. Pain means I don't do anything, the karma comes back to me, I expiate it, I feel it like an illness. Or I can also stop it through forgiveness by either forgiving someone else or asking for forgiveness and make amends. These are the two major tools of how can we experience our karma. But all is here for us to learn to become free again, to become who we truly are, which is love. You have spoken about the seven demonic laws that control our world. What are they and how do they keep us trapped in illusion? The seven demonic laws are the opposite to the seven divine laws. What are the seven divine laws? The seven divine laws start with order, divine will, wisdom, earnestness, patience, love, and mercy. These are the seven divine laws. And when the fallen angels, I mentioned earlier, decided to make their own creation, they switched the energy around. Remember, everything is nothing but energy. Nothing, there is nothing real. There's no computer, no iPhone here real. They're all energy. You and I are only blocks of energies. And these seven energies, the divine energies, were just reversed. So order became disorder and chaos. So divine will became self-will. Earnestness became carelessness. And patience became impatience. Love became love of self, and then came patience of no, sorry then patience is impatience, love is love of self, and mercy is mercilessness. So they basically have turned around these seven energies, divine energies, into negative energies. They're already destructive, and that we see these seven negative energies we see manifested in our world everywhere. We see the impatience, we see the lack of love for each other, we see the disorder, we see the chaos, we see the suffering, and so on. All this we created by turning around the seven dynamic energy. I make a special video on that one on my YouTube channel where you can watch the seven demonic powers and how they influenced us. They run our world, and we look around on the world and we read the news medias and so on. They're all representing these seven very destructive powers because the goal was to destruct divine heaven. And for that, it was with destructive energy. And this destructive energy, most of us are caught up to some degree with our disorder, disorientation, chaotic mind, with our ego and our self-will, etc., etc. So these are very powerful forces that really determine of how we live in our world here today. And the media, the television, shows us how intense these seven powers work on us and in us and through us. It has a pleasure to have been with you again today. If you want to contact me, please go to my website, lifeexplained.com. There's a contact page. You can write to me, or you go to YouTube and you punch in my name, Hans Wilhelm, and you will see my YouTube channel. And with all the videos, which are free, very short, and explained everything that I have explained here in great detail, because you see visually what I am doing and where it all comes from and all the sources and books, etc. So look at my videos and I think you will enjoy them. And if you've got questions, write back to me on my website, lifeexplained.com, and I'm happy to reply. Thank you so much for watching.